considering ourselves to be the media team here, that we all actively start recording and taking videos so that we can put them on a Google Drive. And then we start utilizing this to say, okay, we've got Scene 75 coming up this Friday. How many of you are coming to Scene 75 of that trip?
I know.
Jake, you're going?
I do know that from my previous church, they would always have these videos from them going to these events in previous years of a bunch of clips, and from the video, it looked like an awesome trip, and it definitely usually is.
Yep, and that's exactly what I want to do. Not only maybe we can have like a recap video to sit there and say like, hey, if you didn't make it to Scene 75 and you weren't sure what this trip was going to look like, here's a quick video that shows like what we did. And it was just video footage that you shot, you know what I mean? Like, and we all just uploaded our files to, we'll have a Google Drive where we'll create a folder that says Scene 75. That way, like with what you said, every file that we upload, this is trip May 2022. And then next year, you know, we could have like 2 more trips. So if we ever need to go back and say like, here's the youth groups that have gone to Scene 75 over the past 2 or 3 years. Same thing with like these pool parties and stuff like that. I want us to be able to showcase more of the fun, either that we want to have or that we are having. So again, you guys are my creative team is kind of what I'm looking to you guys for on this. You're the creativity. Antonio knows about this. I've talked to him about it. Like, I want your input. I want your vision on, hey, this could be really fun if youth group did this. Or if we did this in the middle of the lesson. Antonio is going to be able to talk to you about like, or I can too, about getting you added to our services group. So we have our own Hope Shakers services. So you can see, I think, what, through August? Is that what I have my sermons?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like through August or
No,
September. September? Yeah. So in other words, the reason why, like right now we're on I Have Questions, and I forget what the next sermon series is, but I could pull it up on my iPad right now. And so if you guys are like, oh man, you know it would be super fun if we did this in youth group, but when would the best time be for this? Oh, okay, I see that Josh is talking about, like, this doesn't make sense unless I actually show it to you guys. This will make a lot more sense. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
It's just a mobile app.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I mean, you can pull it up on the computer.
That's what I was asking, because I don't have any mobile devices.
Okay, so here's today's. When I'm hurting, does God lead me? Let me see if I can make this a little bit easier to see here. Next week, if God is good, why do bad things happen? Okay, and then in June, we're going to do this series called Familia. And you can see what all of the main points of my sermons are going to be talking about here. So let's say if you've got an idea of something and you're like, man, but when would this be really good? God can help make things right. Oh, that seems like whatever this idea that I have, that might actually go well with that topic right there. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? You had your hand up. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, like, when it comes to, like, the trips, would we be, like, required to go to that on them, or, like...
Or is it just kind of whoever goes on them films?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I might be inclined to even open up like half price or something like that if we're going there to do recordings and things like that. So I'd be open to the idea of, if you guys want to go, that maybe that there's an additional incentive that helps you guys out for being able to go and do video footage and stuff like that. Because I understand, like, maybe not all of you guys are into roller coasters, right? So I don't know, Corbin, are you into roller coasters? Do you like roller coasters? Do you like, yeah. Anybody not like roller
Ever
coasters?
since the age of 8, because before that I'd get motion sick, but after that I'm fine.
So if we had somebody in the room that was like, I don't really like roller coasters, well then we wouldn't want them to come to the Scene 75 event. But like if you guys all went and it's like, hey, we're gonna do a bunch of recording of students waiting in line and like just walking around, and if we grab ice cream afterwards on the way home back to Lima, like that we're all actively taking quick 20-second recordings, but if we all compile, 15, 20-second videos, well then we've got
Like
some
a
pretty
10
expensive footage.
Like a 10-minute preview slash.
Yeah, because ultimately I only want our videos that play in the service. I think a majority of them, we should keep in a sweet spot of like 2 minutes.
You could have like, you could have a longer one and a shorter one.
Correct.
A shorter one to play during the service, and then like a longer one if like they wanted more detail.
Put it on like your website or
Like the
And that's another part of what I wanted to talk about today is I'm really bad at social media. Like my brain doesn't work. I'm older, and so my brain doesn't think I should be documenting this for the gram right now. Okay,
that's Ava. Or no,
yeah,
that's
but
not Bryson the name.
what's that?
Well,
Bryson, well, and that's why I'm
Wait,
kind of
wait.
surprised that Bryson, I thought for sure that this would be a team that he would be interested in, and so.
I don't think he really knows about it.
Well, and that's why this is the introductory meeting, and we've got some space, so like if you guys know, hey, Bryson needs to be on this team, like, there's some senior high students that like need to be in these meetings as well.
There's like I know several people that can like code really well because I can't like I know several people that are really good at technology. I'm like decent, I guess, but like I think more if I was to like participate, I'd try and take the videos and stuff, and maybe well, Jake, I might send them to you if you would edit them.
Well, and we've got, so a couple different places I wanna go with this. We've got some really, we've got a host of Adobe Suite products, so Photoshop, Lightroom. I think, I'd be surprised if there's an Adobe application that we don't have access to. Which again, I think is really awesome for you guys, because many of you, and I'm only gonna use the example of Antonio and Corbin right now because you guys have your own YouTube channels that you're experiencing with. And so my hope is that this is something that like gives you access to some really cool tools that the church has, that you help learn from this, that you get better at it on the church, like with the church's stuff. And then it also really helps you out in your own personal aspirations for, YouTube channels or whatever else that you guys have. So I want this to complement those. Okay.
So wait, if you do the Adobe stuff, it's for church and your own video?
No. But you get the use of really solid professional tools. So consider it almost like a training aspect where like you're not paying for, because how much is Adobe? How much is the Adobe Suite
It ain't
per month?
cheap.
Yeah.
I looked at it one time for editing or like setting up stuff for streaming to Twitch, but I just
Yeah, it's expensive, but like what a cool opportunity, because I'm not gonna forget about you, but like here's something that like another reason why, and I'm sharing a little bit of this with you guys, like there's nothing wrong with the senior high students right now, but there's definitely like I went through a class of the past couple of years that was really plugged in. They always wanted to be a part of like what youth group had going on and stuff like that. My current class, they're less involved. I see you guys, as you all work up into senior high, I see you guys being a next really big, awesome group of students that'll be in senior high. And
like it's about 3 years ago, I started getting like way more involved in everything.
church-wise,
Yeah, like I think one week. It was like last fall. I think I spent a total of like 30 hours at the church that week.
is that right?
Yeah, because I went to Wednesday night, and then I went to fifth quarter church then I had tech team on Sunday, so I was there for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I mean, this is all great tools because if you guys know how to be plugged in the church at your age, one of the biggest downfalls that happens with seniors after they graduate high school and they get into their 19, 20, 21 years old, if they don't know how to be plugged into their church and help out, then a lot of times those those young adults, they lose traction in their church, and they find it's an excuse. It's a reasonable excuse to not continue to go into church, because you knew what it was like to be a youth group, but not everybody gets a really good experience of what it's like to be over an adult church. And so I hope that this transitions you guys, because we already have many senior high students that are involved in Pastor John's worship team
Johnny
ministry.
does the lights.
What's that?
Johnny does the lights.
Johnny does the lights, Gabe does the lights.
Gabe is like, he's the one that set the lights up.
Yeah, Justin Sanders is another student that's been involved. There's lots of people that are on the worship like band.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, y'all, this is such a cool thing that if we can get good at this as a youth group right now, and that you guys will be teaching people as they work their way up in the ages and stuff like that. And then you have an opportunity to join Pastor John's team where the technology is even more expansive.
It's confusing.
Yeah, there's even more to it, but that you'll just continue to grow in your knowledge of how to do things. So I literally think that everybody wins. First of all, you have an opportunity to serve God. That's really amazing in its own. Like, I don't want you to look at this as like, oh, I get to do this to help Josh. I mean, like, you are helping me, but like, first and foremost, this is an opportunity for us to serve God, right? Like, within our church, which is a big deal, a big deal. And so, yeah, going full circle then, you guys have access to a lot of these tools, because I eventually want it to be where there's like somewhere in the ballpark of 3, maybe as much as 5 of you that have control and access of using. There's the Hope Shakers social media page. There's a Facebook page. Why is there a Hope Shakers Facebook page? For the parents. For the parents, because yeah, I mean, students really, for the most part, aren't on Facebook.
I have all those things on like my laptop, but not on my phone.
But it's good to have, like, we want there to be multiple sources. So there's the Facebook page, there's an Instagram page for Hope Shakers. Most students are gonna go to Instagram to get things. That's gonna change in a couple years, guys. You know, in a couple years, and it's gonna make you feel weird, I promise you, but people are like, there's gonna be students that are like, ugh, you use Instagram? Why? Because they'll be,
Because that's is it moves on each generation. That's how
Each
Facebook
generation,
got.
something else comes out.
and the
Facebook
teenagers,
accounts when all our parents were in college and then they just kind of.
exactly. Teenage and like senior high / early college students, they're the ones that dominate and dictate what social media platform will be the next big thing. That's what happened with Facebook. Started off with college kids. Then it was Instagram. Then it was Snapchat. Snapchat and Instagram kind of the same time.
Snapchat
And TikTok.
And then as the generation, so yeah, like it was your guys' generation that made TikTok as big as what it is. The younger millennials and the Gen Zers. So yeah, in a couple years, there's gonna be that next big thing. Why am I talking about this? Well, did we miss our chance with TikTok? I don't know. Maybe if we wanted to create some content and have it available for TikTok, then I would be okay with that.
I feel like if you really wanted just people to just like see it more, TikTok would be a place to do that. Because a lot of people will go on there and just like endlessly scroll through different videos or whatever, not really caring who it's from.
Well, it helps that like all of us have a input in like we all have an input in social media already.
Yes, yeah. So not everybody may be super familiar, like Antonio knows, I'm not, Discord has become the most difficult social media app for me to learn. Like I've never felt more old in this process than with this over there, so.
This part is confusing.
But I'm understanding it more and more. But yeah, Corbin, you're exactly right. We're gonna have multiple social media outlets because there's always gonna be, I mean, how many of you in this room have TikTok?
On my laptop. I'm not allowed to have it on my phone, but I have it on my laptop.
Nobody else?
I've never really done anything in social media to begin with.
Okay, but how many of you have Instagram?
Also on my laptop.
I don't post anything, but
Okay, yep. How many of you have Snapchat?
Also on my laptop.
No,
No,
I do not have Snapchat.
This-
I'm like no social media except like YouTube and Discord.
Yeah, I'm basically the same.
And that's okay, and here's gonna be something that we run into in this team, and it's completely acceptable and fine. Some of you, you're gonna, my parents won't let me have it. I understand. I get it, okay? That's not a detriment. You don't have to look at your parents and be like, but I'm gonna be able to be on the media team at the church. No, that's not the case at all. But as we work through this, we could say, oh, well, Eli has Snapchat, and I'm just shooting on that, but Ava's got Instagram. So Ava's gonna do all the posting on Instagram. Eli's gonna do all the posting on Snapchat. Antonio's gonna do all the posting on Facebook and Discord. So everybody kind of has their role to sit there and say, like,
Well,
Corbin, you're responsible for posting everything on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and I need you to do this all within an hour.
Kind of having different branches of.
Yeah,
I feel like
just
Corbin
have
would be
multiple tabs
YouTube.
open on a computer.
yeah, ultimately, yeah.
Antonio would be like Discord, YouTube, Instagram.
Well,
You can post stuff.
Discord
Yeah,
and
you
YouTube because I
You
have
can
access to
you
the.
can post stuff on Instagram from a
And-
laptop.
Well, and that's okay, guys, so I'm coming back to that. We're not gonna figure those out in this meeting today, okay? I wanna get collectively the whole team here for the next meeting, okay? I want us to just do the early envisioning right now. I wanna leave you guys here with little crumbs to nibble on, to sit there and say, okay, in the next coming weeks, I wanna pray about what this can look like, all right? Because prayer is gonna be a big source of something that I want you guys to be involved with in this, because if we're all going to the Lord and sitting there saying, God, what do you want this to look like? Well, I think that we're gonna hit the mark. I think we're gonna do that. You've been dying to say something.
So
So
on,
far.
so you're talking about how like we want to film like events and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want, so I like that idea. Do you want to also do like kind of short bite, like kind of cover what you talked about on Sundays, but kind of cut it down?
I love that. Let's put that down. Recap videos.
Should we give access like to the YouTube channel for
Certain
other
people.
people?
Once we've divvied out who's responsible, because that's what I was kind of saying, like, another thing that this services app does that I want to start using. So the services app, if I actually pull up the application for it, I have like confirmed dates. This is stuff with Pastor John. Like today, I hosted the traditional service. June 12th, I'll be doing I'm preaching in the modern service. I put blackout dates that I know that I'm gonna be out of town on vacation and stuff like that. Okay, so that's where I say, like for YouTube, I think it's a good idea for like maybe 2, maybe 3 people to have access to that YouTube page. Because if you're on vacation and Antonio's not, you've blacked out for this time period that you're gonna be unavailable, then we already know, okay, Antonio, I need you to do all the posting because Corbin's gonna be out on vacation this week.
And we have a brand account, like the youth group channel is a brand account, so
Yeah.
you won't have to share passwords.
Correct, yep, that's perfect.
What are your thoughts on a podcast?
I wanna do that too. I've been dying to
Because
do a
I'm-
podcast, but, and there's a couple different ways that I've thought about us doing podcasts. Maybe initially it's like me and 2 of you, or maybe like, me and a couple of you, but at some point when we're all comfortable, especially like some of you have done this multiple times, I would also be, and that's what I wanna show you. It's small, but we do have a recording studio, both for videos and podcasts. So the church has one right down the hall that I'll show you guys. But yeah, like if this summer, so let me keep going off this idea because I'm tracking with you. If we want to do a series, like here's 5 podcasts, 5 different main bullet points off of one subject that we talk about. And then we create our own, I don't know if we want to call it Hope Shakers. Nobody's going to search up Hope Shakers podcast. But if like again,
That's unique, like no one else has.
nobody else has it. But my point by that was saying, like, I am totally okay with you all coming up with the name of what the podcast is called. Why? Because I want it to be more relevant to your age. I want it to be something that, like, okay, this sits well with, because if it speaks to you, then it might probably speak to your entire generation, which is more meaningful. And I think that there will be better buy-in on that. I'm coming to each and every one of you. Yeah, go ahead.
I was back to the video of multiple clips from like the different events out. I was going to suggest that we try to make the clips work together and make sense and not be just a montage of a bunch of clips.
That require complicated editing.
It'd be pretty
we
simple.
don't have to, but
If you have
if
like
we could-
decent transition.
I think we should at least try to make them make
transition.
sense together.
Adobe After Effects.
Like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about recap videos, or what are you talking
Like,
about?
from the events that we mentioned earlier. of how
Yeah,
we-
oh yeah, so
when
like,
we film things at those events, when we put them together, it's not just
How
a
are we gonna like blend-
montage of a bunch of
How are we
clips.
just
They
gonna
try
like blend them?
somehow try to make sense together,
well, yeah, because we'll have, like,
if we can.
if we created a video to recap scene 75, I'm okay with it having a different look and feel for like a recap video of Cedar Point or the pool. But I think what you're talking about, like, which is vision for the future, which is good for us to bring up because I get to keep you guys for several years, which is awesome. 6. So if by the time that you're a senior and you want to make a montage video of 5 years worth of scene 75 videos, then that's why we have a Google Drive where it says May 2022 scene 75. And then we have a folder just of scene 75 videos. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I know those suggestions for that.
Are you talking like editing it so it looks like it's
Blends.
not like just
It
like
makes
random
sense,
cuts?
yeah, not like a,
Yeah.
so that it makes sense, and it's not just
Jake
a
can
bunch
do
of
that.
random videos, that's all, it didn't have to be like.
Yeah, that's pretty
And,
simple.
and so
Yeah.
I would, maybe instead of 40, we try like a shared drive.
And it's gonna change a little bit over the years. Like if you look at stuff that your favorite YouTuber was doing 4 years ago on their channel, it's probably different now. Because our receptiveness to how we're watching videos shortens, right? Like, let's be honest, I mean, if we look at a video that's available for 15 minutes, or there's a 5-minute video, which one are you gonna pick? 5-minute video, right? Yeah, and so, but there's also little different editing things that like change just because it, like, the viewership changes, if that makes sense.
It
But
also-
you got a good point.
It also helps that we have different, like as the teams grow, we can have different generations because then
Yeah.
we can take our generation with us and keep doing it. Whereas, like the generation crossing over here can start their own stuff, kind of capture their generation and move up with them.
Yeah.
We can keep 2 different groups, but they're still kind of saying the same things, just where it connects with different generations better.
I agree. And that's why this is great because I want you guys to be the ones that teach and show. And a year from now, there'll be a new group of freshmen and Corbin that are stepping into this, you know? And so like, hopefully over the course of the year, like you guys, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because this is year 1. So we're establishing the culture. We're establishing the foundation of kind of what this looks like for the generations to come. So, Eli, you were gonna say something that I'm gonna round off with you, okay?
With like the podcasts and stuff,
Mhm.
would it be easier for us to like all come into the studio or do it like some people come here
Or even if
like
it, like,
calls or
Rotate.
Yeah,
Thing. We have one main person on it all the time, but then it rotates between.
a host,
Yeah,
yeah. And there can be a couple hosts,
because
like,
then you could have like, oh, I like listening to this person talk with, or I like
People.
listening to the host talk or whatever, and then it kind of rotates so that you're not.
the host is good with these people, but after a while these get like they get tired of talking like these people talking, so they
Go
just
back
switch.
and listen to the other people. Yeah.
have any of you ever recorded a podcast before?
I have 2.
You have 2? Yep.
He has a comedy one and
Yeah.
another one.
You've done one too?
And well, I'm saying that like things like Restream are more like for podcasts. I just use it because no other service works.
I'm trying to
Like
think of
for
the,
What I use is
Anchor, right?
yeah, Anchor's
Anchor.
what I use. It can connect to pretty much everything.
Yep.
So you have to have an account in everything, but then you can copy this URL and claim ownership on tons of different.
which I think the church has access to, what I don't like as far as like a paid subscription to Anchor, because I think that's what Bridget uses.
That's what I use. It's it's totally free.
Oh, it is,
Other
okay.
than like if you have like a Spotify subscription, you have like music in, but
But that's where like I would want to take this. Like if we're gonna record a podcast, then It needs to be available on Apple Podcast app, it has to be available on
It's really easy to
Spotify.
connect them to everything.
Yep. But this brings me into a good point, like, this is year one of this, and we're kind of jumping into this, where when I put my budget together for 2022, this was not on the radar. But that's okay, like, I've already thought about, like, okay, this is a project that I was gonna do this year, that I might have to scrap until next year. Because what we get to do as we continue to move along is that we're gonna gather ideas together and sit there and say, hey, Josh, you know what we need? We need this. And I'm gonna say, you're right. And that $2,000 we'll get next year for 2023's budget. But if it's like, oh, you know what we need, and it's gonna, man, it's only gonna cost us $8,000.
Only
You know?
$8,000.
Just pull it out of your pocket, Josh.
But like, you know, this is stuff that John goes through in his adult ministry over there. Like, you know, they've got vision. Okay, we can't afford it right now, so we're gonna take a little bit of a step back, and this is like the best we can do with the equipment. But maybe next year or the year after that,
Like, we need a new keyboard. The second one's broke, it makes a humming sound and it bothers us in the sound because we keep trying to get rid
oh,
of it.
over there. Oh, yeah,
It
yeah.
won't go, we're just like, we need a new keyboard. That one doesn't work.
Well, I don't even know if Antonio knows this, but like our keyboard over here, because of all the technology that's in that booth, sometimes the frequency
I can fix that.
is messed up because I'm trying to type. You know how to fix that?
I know how to fix that.
God bless you.
I think just like, we don't wanna put the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
We need to build up, what do we want, how are we going to get it?
And that's why this meeting is really more just about envisioning, you know, putting some stuff up on the board here. You know, you guys have collectively, Corbin, come up with two really good ideas that I've actually, were absolutely on my list of stuff that I wanna do. But yeah, that's what, like, hey, there's no pressure upon leaving this meeting today. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna spend some time, like, what would be fun, what would be cool to have in youth ministry that we don't have right now?
I was actually gonna, back to the podcast, I was gonna say, like, you said we could do series, like different series. We could do several at one time, but if we really wanted to, like, we could make a podcast, so if people don't make it to church on Sundays, you can basically kind
You
of
could just
redo
record
your,
the audio from,
yeah. You
Right.
can
because
Serve-
on Anchor you can upload video, so if we recorded it, we could
Yeah.
yeah.
put it on the
So-
YouTube channel and on the.
So if they can't watch it, but they're like, for example, if they're like, I don't know, like,
I like listening to podcasts more rather than watching, because you can do other things.
Correct, me
yeah,
too.
so
Yeah,
if they're having to do something, they can listen to the sermon while they're doing it.
And so that would be like a real cool, because in these recap videos, eventually, when it comes to the live streaming of the youth services and stuff, we're not gonna use Antonio's phone.
I
At
know.
some point, we'll
We
have
can
the
GoPro.
cameras
I have
mounted.
GoPro.
What's that?
I guess an 8K GoPro, even though human eyes can perceive
4K.
past 4K Ultra HD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's good to know. But eventually, what I like, again, my early envisioning is like how one of the other things that's probably gonna happen in the next, I don't know, maybe 5 years. There's a lot of discussion, but our church is growing, guys. We
Like
get more and
massive
more.
amounts.
Yeah, so, you know, like they're trying to figure out, eventually there's gonna be, and I'm just spitballing on ideas, so none of this is set in stone. But some of the things that have been discussed is, you know, off of the activity center over there is gonna be a new children's wing. There's gonna be a new modern worship center.
We're running out of
We,
space.
we could be over there in a whole new building. They've also talked about the idea of like gutting all the pews out of the sanctuary and turning the sanctuary, that huge sanctuary, into our youth room. Then we would have the kitchen and the coffee lobby outside of there. You know, so all this to say, in like the next 5 years, like we're hopefully going to outgrow that youth room. And I'm pretty confident that the stuff that we do with this technology is going to bring more students in. They're gonna be like, wait a minute, like, first of all, you're on a tech team at your church, like, that sounds really cool, you know?
Like 3 tech teams now.
Yeah, and so, you know, think about, I don't know if any of you have any pastors, I'm not talking about youth pastors, but if you see any pastors on YouTube, there's like a 30 or 60 second clip of like the highlight of some of their main points in their video.
Like the.
And that's stuff that I want up on social media so that, you know, like, they took my sermon but condensed it down to like 60 seconds of the meat.
A few moments of like where like.
You could take kind of like each bullet point that they have.
Yeah.
Bullet points and like a short description.
And so like you guys as the creative team, eventually over time, you're hearing my message and you're like, oh, that was, you won't say this often, that was really good. We need to put that in the video.
You're gonna sit here taking notes.
That boy preaches today.
This goes here and this goes here.
So that you're like, okay, we need to include this in the video. Because that's what I was doing when I was doing during the quarantine, and that like Pastor Chris was giving his quarantine message, I'd be like, okay, I need this little excerpt out of here to be in what we play in the video. One other thing that I was gonna say, I've not forgotten about you. Some ideas about the podcast. Could be your own ideas. Or you could come together, and you wouldn't necessarily have to do this off of every single series, but let's say you guys really like this I have questions topic. And you create your own questions off of what we talked about from that week. And it's almost like a going one step further, where like, okay, old man Pastor Josh just did his preaching, now we're gonna talk about it as students, because the body of people listening to this is gonna be students, you
So
know,
then they can listen to it and then come back afterward and.
go deeper. Yeah,
We
take
can
it,
also have people like submit questions, we can cover them on the.
love that,
Yeah.
love
That's
that.
a great idea.
You did that on your comedy podcast,
I
didn't you? I sent you a few emails.
Yeah.
Just
I
as
saw
spams
those.
under like, I think I did it under like 3 random new accounts on yours.
I gotta come to Antonio next, cause you got a bunch.
I guess.
Fire away
Just fire them all.
at once.
Without
Really, no.
You've got 2 minutes. I'm just kidding.
We only have 15
I don't
minutes
know.
left.
I don't know.
And we'll probably save it.
huh?
It's-
I don't know.
Well, you had your hand up, so there was some
Well,
stuff that you
yeah.
wanted to talk about.
I don't
Do you need your
know.
slides? I can pull up the
mean,
slides.
Can we? Are we able to do that?
Actually,
Josh, I had a question about like profit. So we
Profits.
like eventually as it grows, people will become like we'll get more and more, it will
Donations.
grow. And eventually on most platforms you can make a profit from it. We would put that toward would we put that towards recording or
I'd say
just
you-
kind of whatever we need at that time?
I feel like the first things we try and, if we did. get
Didn't you
enough
have
donations,
something
I
to
feel
say?
like the first thing we try and use it for is like upgrading the quality of the things so that they won't have to, cause like over time the quality is just gonna like decrease as stuff gets better and better. If we get like the top of the line stuff then, that'll last us quite a while.
Yeah.
Before it gets considered bad quality.
yeah, that's a great question, and I think that that's ultimately what we would do is any profits, because it's probably gonna start off to be pretty minuscule, right?
Like $1 for 3 months.
Yeah.
But that we take that and we save up those small amounts and we add it into, hey, we really need that camera that's a permanent fixture to the
Mounted
wall,
right above
that's
that
mounted
TV.
like how they have them over there.
Like right above the TV.
Yeah.
With the little like, spinny things.
Yeah, so I
I
like,
can run the cameras kind of over there. Like half learned and I know how to do pretty much everything.
Josh,
with-
I think Connor has a
Yeah.
question.
what's up?
For the podcast, I think instead of just, you mentioned recording the sermon or whatever, I think instead of just recording everything, like maybe just the few points and not the discussions and what we're saying, just like try to find a way to record just what you're saying, just the main points that you're saying, and not the whole service.
Well, we
with
could
us talking.
take it and edit it and cut it down.
Yeah, and I think we.
I never thought I'd say this, but I think we need to get Josh a microphone.
Yes,
We have
I
one.
think we would have to get you a
Oh,
microphone
no.
to do that.
I hope I will make sure it's not connected to the speakers though.
Well, we've got a brand new soundboard.
Yes.
I really want to
We
take
don't
that.
have it yet.
But we don't have anybody to hook it up yet. I don't have any. I'm probably gonna have to pay someone to get it all hooked up. I don't know
Rocky
why
could
this
probably
Apple
do that.
TV.
He was just talking to me last Sunday about. He's like, sometime I need to. Since you're next on training and you're like one of the younger ones, you're probably gonna be doing this for quite a bit longer. He's like, I need to teach you how to plug all these things in and how to set them all back up. I was like,
So, one other question I had was communications, because that always is a problem that, especially in like the Boy Scout troop, so I'm gonna use this as an example. Communications are the one thing that we don't have down. So
Communications
how does,
are-
we need to find like a general area where we can all kind of communicate through ideas around.
Yeah,
I think this
I pretty much have all of that. I pretty much have already
He's
made
got us
that.
covered.
Yeah.
the problem is not everybody's allowed to have Discord.
Well, I have-
Like somewhere.
We have Discord, the website, and Google chat. Yeah, Google
If
Hangouts.
we have like
Do
a
you have, Antonio, on the website, do you have like the groups?
Yeah.
Because I know do you have like each of the teams put together as groups?
if there was an
I
app
don't know. I'm not sure.
App for what?
like kind of similar to that services app, I guess, but where like we could. I think there's an app similar to it, but like
Just to chat.
it's a chat. It has chatting plus
Well, there's
the
also-
services
There's also
Kind of.
GroupMe.
GroupMe is one that I always use. Yeah.
because it has like a chats feature plus like different
Or
like
even like Google
it's-
Calendars, you can share the calendars
Yeah.
around.
Yeah,
I
if that was
also
all
think-
tied into like one app, that would be really.
Yeah.
Are
I
they
think the thing
all?
with
Are they
Discord-
all like signed up for the service? The service.
No, because I'd have to get everybody's email.
I also think with this, I'm pretty sure with Discord, there's a lot of things that you can link to Discord so that they.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
Is that the
Yeah,
case?
they
Is
link
that
multiple
everybody's
things
allowed to
to
have
it.
Discord?
Not everybody's allowed to have Discord, and even if they could, and like you could link the different things, not everybody's allowed to have
Yeah.
links and everything.
Yeah.
Like I think
I don't
pretty much-
have open access to
I
the
think
internet
other than
or Discord.
Corbin,
Yeah.
I think for now everyone but Corbin has access to that stuff, but eventually there's gonna be people that can't.
Do you think, like, just trying to, what would be the easiest solution for you? Would you be able to have like a GroupMe app, like
Probably.
or like Telegram?
Possibly, my phone has, so there are only certain apps that I can get on my phone.
That's the reason I don't
Yeah.
have any social media on my phone.
Your parents dictate what that is, right? Yeah.
Well,
It
so
really
there are
sucks.
only certain things that have been submitted by like the company that runs the phone, so
Oh,
they can only choose between certain things.
gotcha.
There's a lot of times where I really hate that company because they make. This is one of the best phones out right now, but they just make it so hard to use. But like, there is ways. Like, there's some certain apps that people, if they have restrictions or whatever, they
You
could
can like
use them.
request
You
apps
can
on it.
request apps.
Okay. How about this? Can you work with Antonio on what those apps are
Yeah.
and something that would,
Yeah.
that would, especially if it has integration with Discord? Is that possible? Probably not.
No.
A chat app,
Honestly,
could-
there might be
No.
something
I
I
know
found
you-
is Google Chats.
I think
which you set us up for Google
Yeah.
Chats.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But
Well,
It's
that's
just
the-
not like as
it doesn't
It's
have
basically-
enough.
It's
stuff.
not as
basically-
like
it's group
advanced
text.
as
Yeah,
Discord.
it's basically group text.
There is, I know there's an app, I cannot remember what it's called, I'm trying to think, but it's like Discord, but for things like this, like it's set up for businesses
Isn't
to
it,
run and stuff, but
Slack.
would work.
It's Slack.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah.
That might be something.
Yeah, I think.
'Cause
it
I'm-
is. Actually,
yeah.
it is, cause it's similar to Discord. Has a
Yeah.
lot of
I love
different-
Slack. I wish, is that the logo for it?
That's what it is.
I wanted to get the whole church switched over to Slack instead of email, because I like Slack so much. And it is almost identical to Discord
It's like
Yeah.
Discord with all the features we need,
for business.
but most people would be allowed to use it.
So look into that and see if that's something that collectively you guys would all be able to have. If Slack is the place that we can go,
Yeah.
and Discord's not.
Because Discord
And
has
if I
like
had,
social
like-
media, not everybody like is allowed to have.
Yeah, that's.
I
my
can
mom doesn't
make
have
another.
open access to like everyone.
What do you think? Could we transition over to Discord? I mean, Slack?
Yeah, I don't
It would-
mind.
it'd
I
take
don't
a
mind
lot.
making another account.
It'd take quite a lot of
For
time
the-
to transition, but once it.
Yeah, I don't mind
But this
making
would be the
another
earliest
account
stage, so if
before-
we were gonna transition, it would be better to do
I
it now.
usually try to like minimize the amount of accounts that I have, but just adding one more thing isn't gonna.
If this would be easier, if the transition would be kind of hard, but if we did it now, it'd be even easier than if we
Waited till.
Well, let this be something that we're going to leave in the parking lot. So parking lot means we're gonna hold this open until next time we meet because we're running out of time. Slack. Can we all use Slack? Is Slack something that you can use?
Okay. How it's from you, future.
Cause yeah,
I could probably even get it set up tonight.
well, but I don't want you to put all the time into it, and if Corbin says, I still can't use it, then I don't want you
Yeah.
to spend all that time, for no reason, so.
I should also be able to, so if there was a way I could also help, I probably would be able to.
Yeah.
So
Like,
I
I
usually
like
have a
the-
lot of free time.
Yeah.
I
Stuff
don't
I'm
do
good at
any
is-
sports, so I usually have a lot of time.
The stuff
Okay.
I'm good at when it comes to this stuff is like the behind the scenes engineering part.
Yeah.
I know Jake can edit really well. That's why whenever when I do stuff, like I sent him a VR video that I did. It's hilarious actually, but he edited it.
Jake said it.
You should have him like watch it. It's hilarious.
Well, and this is, okay, so, because it's about to be summertime, okay?
And
I know that some of you are in school, some of you are homeschooled.
I do school through summer. It sucks.
Well, over the course of the summer, all right, so I have an Alienware gaming laptop that I would want you guys to be able to have access to be able to utilize for editing and stuff like that. And so another thing that I want to have up on the parking lot is, like, do we want to start meeting together weekly?
Like
I think
resource.
that would be
Yeah.
Do we want to start meeting together weekly so that we can get the team moving forward? Like we can actually
Yeah.
start doing the work.
And would that be on Sundays or a different day of the week?
No, not Sundays. It would be
Yeah.
weekdays
Maybe-
during like the
maybe,
daytime hours.
Like Thursdays or something.
Yeah,
Tuesdays.
like Thursdays at 1 p.m.
Or
So you're
Tuesdays.
thinking over the summer meeting?
over the summer. Yeah.
Or
just to get it
or
set up.
Fridays. It could be Fridays when most
Fridays are
people.
one of my only days off, but
Yeah. Really?
Uh,
Really?
because Sundays are work day.
Well,
Yeah,
we
so
could
then
do
Thursdays
Fridays
would be good.
because like most kids have to do the homework after school.
But I'm talking about summertime.
Oh,
Yeah, we're talking about the middle of summer. When
Like, because I'm
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
into the school year.
But you're right. I do want to carry this on as we get into the school year. Like that's when a lot of stuff is really going to amp up. So I'm hoping that we can do some things this summer. That way, by the fall,
Yeah.
We're
ready
ready.
for it.
Yeah.
Because not everybody can have like meetings
Yeah,
every
because-
single week during the fall.
correct.
During the summer, it'll.
And
Everybody
a lot of
else
people,
will
slow down
people are probably
during
gonna be
school
taking
year.
summer break. People are probably gonna be enjoying summer break, taking vacations and stuff.
Yeah, that's gonna
They're have to
happen.
Show up.
That's going to
Could
happen.
we use Zoom even, like, just to meet?
Yeah.
If,
Yeah.
Like if they can't
Once we
make
get
it,
to
to
the
just
fall.
Yep.
even.
So what I'll prefer to do is open it up if we can meet in person at the church. But I understand. None of you guys are driving, so that I understand that's a thing. If we can try to shoot for, everybody's home situation is different, like with where parents are during the workday and stuff. If we can have people in person, then I'll leave that open. But if you're like, hey, I absolutely can't make it today, I may not, like, because my parents working, I may not ever be able to make these times, then I can absolutely have Zoom open up for him.
Yeah, because like my parent, like I'm pretty busy most of the time.
Yep.
Like it's more during the fall and stuff, but I guess like during the week in the summer, it might be a little easier. But if we were to do these meetings in the fall, I probably wouldn't be able to make a lot of them because I have football,
Right.
I have to condition every day.
Right.
I have all so that and then I have a lot of other stuff.
We should also figure out like a schedule for when we're posting things too.
Agree.
Because, like from what I've looked into of like how to grow like a channel or Thursday
Yep.
or something like that.
Love it.
Will there be an editing team or will that be under like presentation team?
So I think the way that Antonio and I have it set up right now, that there's going to be like a video team.
No, well, I tried
The
to take it
video
off.
team, so eventually, like you guys may notice, we use a really powerful and expensive tool called ProPresenter.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's
And I,
amazing, but it's like
there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. And there's more that I want to know to be able to how to do different things. So like the video team, I want to be able to know how to run ProPresenter and be able to edit and do things like that.
they can edit. I know how to run for presenter.
The video team can also overlap into being part of the recording team that helps record. So Jake, you're gonna record Destin in front of the camera as he like does some kind of an announcement video. I don't wanna keep doing announcement videos. I would love it so
You're
much
saying
more.
we have different, so we have like the person in front of the camera, video editing.
Yeah, and the person in front of the camera can change, you know, like I think it's good to have a lot of variety when it comes to that person. But I would love it if you guys were doing the announcement videos and that I didn't have. Here's my vision. Eventually, I want it to be where one of you guys are hosting the service, the student service. You're hosting it. Like there's a worship band that plays. That like you guys do all of it, and that I just come up and do the lesson. Like eventually, maybe you guys have maybe not every Sunday, but maybe one of you guys wants to give like a devotional or like you know like no. I don't know, and I don't want to know everything. I want to know what you guys want to see in these on here. So, lots of hands up. I'm going to let Antonio go first because he hasn't had a lot of time.
Well, this is for like normal youth group stuff, but we should also like do game nights.
Yeah.
That would be like, and there's this like I told Josh, there's this new thing called Rift Tracks. It's really fun.
Yeah, to do here
It's
at the
hilarious.
church.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember if Rift was like Jackbox where you could do it remotely, but to have them here at the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be cool. I would love to do something like that. Especially like if we were able to figure something out in the summertime, because that's gonna get harder to do
Yeah.
once the fall picks back up. Okay, you, Connor, and then I'll come back to you.
It was about like the setup and how we'd be doing things that, like how at the older church that I went to, we had a band beforehand, then we had like a large group where you'd be saying something and then we broke into smaller groups and did stuff. But we don't really have a bunch of smaller groups. We
Yeah,
wanna be a
and
big
right
group,
now-
so we're basically the size of a small group right now. So but I think a band would be awesome.
Band would be great. That's why I'm trying to do like a little bit of a hybrid of a large group with the small group segments happening in the middle of the lesson, but
Each team is kind of like their own small group.
Yeah. what were you gonna say, Jake?
For the video team, would we have like a few like video recorders, a few publishers, like a few?
This is probably gonna be like, and again, I understand some of you have more time than what others do. So, I mean, it's really gonna be to speaking to what you all have of it, you know, cause like Eli was saying, when it gets to be, not even the fall, because you're gonna have conditioning, you're gonna have,
conditioning on Saturdays and Sundays. I don't think from about the time from June to like maybe early November.
so.
Don't have any time at all.
Right, and so like in that part, like Eli's gonna be kind of out, and so, you know, and that's,
Help to have multiple people
Yes.
who can edit, multiple people who can film. But
yep, and I think that's why if we start off with like 2 or 3 people per thing, and then we kind of see where we're at, and it's like, cause I don't wanna have too many cooks in the kitchen, you know? Like, we need to have an appropriate, like keep it small first. And then we're like, oh man, video team, like, we don't have enough time to be able to do this throughout the week. Okay, perfect. How many people do we need to add to the team? 1, 2? You know, and so then I'll come to you guys for your help and insight on that.
There is one thing with that stuff. I would be busy some days, but until about the time when the season starts, I can take days off of conditioning. So if it was like a bigger thing, I could still make it.
Well, and to your point on that, I always want us to be thinking weeks in advance, for what we need to do.
Yeah, like, cause like the coaches usually say, if you're gonna take time off, tell us when you're gonna do. Like, if you're gonna take a day or two off of conditioning, tell us when you're gonna do that. So, like, we know that, cause like, so that we know the number of players aren't gonna be there and how big of a thing we're gonna cover. or whatever.
Yeah.
But also, this is before we were talking about how there's gonna be like different groups of there's gonna be people that are recording, there's gonna be people that are like the faces for the whatever. But I think it'd be a lot easier to keep straight if we had if we had this, we had people and we separated them in for example, the tech team from Sundays or whatever. And then there's the engineers behind the podcast and videos and everything. Then there's the people that are in front of the camera. And then there's the people that are editing and all that.
God's gifted us all differently. And
So you just put
I'm not necessarily as good at editing and stuff, but I can
You're
be in
the
front of
face.
camera.
Yeah.
if
I was gonna
you're-
say, a lot of these things are gonna overlap.
Because if, for example, if we use Slack or Discord, there could be different channels because they all have different channel functions. Like this one's for people in this group, this one's for people in this group, and people can be in multiple groups or just one. It doesn't really matter. But there's this group, and this group, and those each have their own. In Discord, I think they each have their own list of files and tasks.
Yeah.
And Slack the same
And
way,
I'll set it up I'll set the channels up the same way as
as what was on Discord.
yeah.
I'm gonna let Antonio and then Connor, and then I saw your parents, I think, are waiting out in the hall. So I wanna show you guys just the studio real quick after your questions.
Oh.
And then we'll end the meeting, cause I think some of your parents are ready to get you guys, right?
I actually don't really have anything else per se.
Oh,
I actually don't really have anything else.
oh, okay, gotcha. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that I don't really have much experience with the majority of these things, so it will take a little bit for me to get used to it. So
Yeah.
whatever you want
All
me
of
to do,
us-
I won't be able to help much at first, but
If you're a quick learner,
yeah, I usually am.
Yeah.
That's why this is gonna help so
I'm a
much,
village.
because all of us have different parts, so whatever, let's say you're interested in being in front of the camera or editing, some of us are better at it than others, we can kind of teach you
and figure out where we're gifted in better areas. Yeah.
It's most of the people here in the beginning, for an exception of maybe Ava and you, but most of us have experience in this area, this area, this area, or Corbin has experience with YouTube, that's his
The only thing I have
place.
experience with is Discord.
Yeah.
And Discord, and then he's with the setting things up. Jake's editing, I'm behind the scenes kind of guy.
And Antonio is always, you can always come to me, but you may notice that there's a lot of times where I'm gonna say, have you checked with Antonio about this? Because Antonio has actually set up a lot of the initial foundation of all this stuff. I gave him the idea, and then this dude has been messaging
Like the
me and
first
just
week.
running with
Like
it.
the first week we came
The
up
first
with the
week,
idea.
Josh mentions it, everything.
And Antonio has been on it. And I love that. I want you guys to feel comfortable with saying, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try something and I'm gonna run with it.
And the
Okay.
thing about having people that have done this before is we can always help them, teach them, I guess.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the Hope Shakers YouTube channel other than the live streams?
No, because Antonio just started that.
Okay.
So that's brand new. Eventually I wanna incorporate our Hope Shakers logo, since I paid money for that.
Yeah.
To have the
Yeah.
Hope Shakers logo, but
I
yeah.
think with all of us who have social media to kind of announce that and link stuff up to it now, or wait till we get stuff on it?
I want to wait a little bit just because the audio quality still isn't great for being able to hear me. So right now, Antonio's just kind of working out bugs because from first week to this Sunday.
The audio
It's a
quality
lot
is much
better.
better than the video quality.
Yeah.
When it comes to for example, or in the recording studio, mics, cameras, I know some stuff about that because I searched them. I don't have a camera because I don't really am not the guy that films this. I don't really film stuff. I'm not usually the guy in front of it, but I have a microphone and everything in my house. So
Well, and that's some of the beauty of, again, I think we're gonna skip the tour of just the small studio today, just because it's 1:20 now. But we have the cameras, you guys have my laptop, all the Adobe Suite stuff, so like for recording this stuff, and I don't know if any of you have noticed, we've recently, our videos for the adult services have changed, they've upgraded, they're better than what they used to be, because we hired a company called Video Branch. And I've already talked to Video Branch and said, hey, I don't have a budget for it this year, but next year I'd like you to help work with my students on how to create this content. So we could even go to Video Branch, do some recording, and these professionals will eventually be working alongside you, potentially helping you out with it.
Just as we get going, could we put together like a Google Doc that has here are ideas
Yes.
for
I can
videos,
set
series,
that.
Yes.
here are ideas.
Set it
for
up now.
movie.
Set it up now.
I could also like set up a shared drive instead of.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had an idea for
Because it'll have a folder, but
Okay.
But it has like, so you have Google Drive, it's a Google Drive for everyone that everyone has access to.
Right, yeah.
It's better than a shared folder.
So the main thing that when we leave here today, we need to have an open chat on Google Chat to start.
Because we're gonna need everybody's email to be able to get all like these, like send these photos here and these here.
Yeah.
Like to get like the bigger files around, that's gonna be email, like, cause
and
you
we can
can't.
put together a Google Doc with all the
I
emails and stuff.
could put that together later today.
So if you guys can start doing that today, we'll get the Google Chat going, and then we'll figure out when the next time that we're gonna meet. And like maybe like you guys have school for like another 2 weeks.
We
finish
get
on
out next
Friday.
Thursday.
Nice.
I am already done with math, and then I think this coming week I get done with like all my like literature.
Yeah, we're
And then
Antonio, can you take down everybody's email address?
And Antonio, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, can I have your phone number after this?
Yes.
we get out Thursday, next Thursday, not this Thursday.
I'm gonna, oh, alright, that's awesome.
Well, I need a paper and pen, maybe. I don't know.
Would it,
Sorry, we went over lots of great questions from all these guys. So we went over it a
All
little
right,
bit.
we're gonna
Guys,
end it
if you wanna
here.
be part of that chat,
Um,
just make sure that Antonio has your contact information. And then,
All
and then we'll be able to get the chat going to continue the conversation over the next couple weeks.
You want to finish up?
All right, we're gonna end it here.
I'm gonna,
See you guys
I'm gonna get
later.
out of the way because it's so far over and the room's so small.
Might
Most
have
of
it
us-
again
it's
next
a real
week.
Small fit in there, so. Sweet. See you on Friday. See you on Thursday, again Friday.
to, no.